quiet down. Mind has to become silent, untouched by any importance, detached, uninterested. Keep that space empty more and more, and stay there. Appearances. That which appears to be opposing that which really is. So everything is appearances only. You appear to be that body in a circumstance, planet, world, whatever, wherever your eyes are reaching. You appear to be in a story which is moving, which appears to have purpose, goals. And as your mind continues to get impressed, believing appearances, your importance, the importance that you are giving is feeding all of that. For those who have explored what you call dream and been able to be in the dream, knowing it was a dream, usually the experience is there is a limit in what you can explore with that mindset, knowing that it is a dream. You can explore a little bit, play a little bit, but as you explore too much, doing that which is not expected, which is not supposed to, the dream just fades away. It cannot hold itself together. And what you call a dream is just giving you a feedback of what you call reality. It is the same. It holds tight by your belief, by your investments, by the importance that you are giving. So many beliefs, so many investments, so many dreams of tomorrow, so many fears. All of those strengths keep what you call reality. And so it is common for those, as the quest for truth arises in their heart, to shift their lives completely. Because there's one direction, and it is supposed to change that direction. And that happens because motivations change. And that is a quite difficult thing to happen. Because usually, when that quest for truth arises, it is interpreted by the character as just a new way of realizing the desires which are latent and the goals which are aspired in the future. So there's this hijacking by the character of the quest for truth. And this is why, for the majority, life doesn't really changes that much. It gets adapted to the path. So in a sense, the more strange it becomes for you, for your level of reality, for the level of reality of those who are around you, we can say more or less that you're more and more out of your character's story. And when the big parts of the character story are there, the smaller ones the details, not the details, but the central aspects of it gets untouched. As you are getting more free and free from the outer circumstances, then you can work on the inner aspects, the core of them. So the more it makes sense to you, in a way, sense from here, from what you can compare with your previous life, from the previous circumstances, the more people around you can understand what you're doing, well, the more similar you are with the older quests, the older investments. The less people can understand, the more far, and the less you can understand also, the more far away you are from your world. And remember, it's about appearances. The character has the ability, the ultimate ability of survival. They can survive with plenty or with almost nothing. And adapting is one of its greatest tools. So as the process becomes alive, as things come to you that you know that you have to give that step, the faster you do that, the better for you. But if you take your time to feel safe, to structure yourself, then you're adapting. And then whatever you had to do loses more or less its point. Life will come from all angles, trying to impress you, trying to keep the grip on you. And you have to learn to train yourself, to let yourself become impressed. But if you're aspiring, if you have those images of happiness that you are following, if you're full of expectations of life, you're just under its grip. Sometimes people can get the biggest achievements, but by the wrong reasons, they become meaningless. Sometimes people achieve stillness, peace, detachment, all sorts of things. But most of times it is about acceptance, self-worth, the need to be special, and all these things. And what this means is you might have achieved the biggest level of detachment, apparently, because remember, it's appearances only. But if this is for the purpose of being special to others or being accepted, loved, then you're still trapped to the same story of the character. So these structures, they need to be kept without any nurturing, any food, so that they can wither away with time. If you sit still and you say, I will not move from here no matter what happens, and if you're serious, it will not take long until you start seeing the real beliefs that you hold dear and that make you move and act, participate, invest. It will be immediately. And it is these forces that bind you to illusion. And without faith in transcendence, it is impossible. So this is where devotion comes, faith and surrender. It is like the bridge to that beyond your reality. And your mind is always trying to conceive what comes next. You see? I get this question a lot. So, how is it when we get self-realized? How is it? What happens? How is the experience of that? And I don't usually answer this question. Because mind wants to get a glimpse of it, to envision it. But in reality, it wants to recreate it. It is different. So whatever you are aspiring, it is difficult to hold freedom. The word freedom, for example, what it stands for in abstract terms. You want to know what is self-realization, what comes after self-realization, so that you can recreate it. It wants to know because it wants to recreate, it wants to adapt itself. And it's very difficult to hold the abstract concept, freedom, because I don't know how it is after. I don't know what truth is, so what can I conceive? But your mind is always trying to conceive something and to make plans with it to that future. And this is the mind robbing you, twisting your investments. As long as there's a tomorrow, nothing changes. So these curiosities, they are not innocent. The literature is long about these subjects, too long actually, because, well, in the beginning, greed is the biggest motivation, even if it doesn't seem to be like that. But eventually it will have to change, because it is not for the character. So eventually, what the character is looking for, he will not touch it, because it is present in his absence. So this need to conceive, to envision what comes after, it is sabotage only. And there's many experiences that seekers have, which are mind created, so that they keep themselves stuck to the main goals of that story, which is about the character only. Because the real seeker of truth has a calling. And no matter what happens, that calling is there. Wrong reasons will fade away with time, eventually. Some take longer than others. But they don't have really a choice. They have to go. All the time there are inner pulsions that oblige you to invest. I have to do this, I have to do that. And these forces, they hold also the key to freedom as you start resisting them. But for that, there's something that must be clear, absolute clear. And to have that clarity, you need to assert this again and again and again and again and again and again, because you'll forget it. And that is, I don't want anything else from this world anymore. From this or others, or other worlds. And as you keep asserting this, you will start seeing the forces that are pulling you and making you participate. And the most difficult part in this, especially in the beginning, is the preciousness of your own narrative, the life that you are living. Everybody speaks about reincarnation and several lives, but still you are living this one as if it was the only one, the first one and the last one, whatever. It is so important this time, and it's so important to satisfy the most immediate desires. Like the one who has gotten out of prison after 50 years. As long as your narrative, as your personal story, as long as this is so important in a worldly environment, spiritual environment, doesn't make much of a difference. So this preciousness is one of the biggest obstacles. And it's making you compromise and compromise and compromise and compromise. People say, oh, I could do this, but I couldn't do that. Well, you couldn't do that. That's one obstacle. What you can do, it's what you envision, what is possible, and doesn't really threaten too much that which is really precious for the character. That which you couldn't do That is the boundaries of what you call your reality. That you cannot see beyond it, you cannot envision that, because doing that would bring chaos, would jeopardize that which is special. In the old days, austerities, sacrifices, these were common aspects of spirituality. These days, for the common seeker, it seems that this is, how do they say, it's not needed. Of course not. It's not needed for those who want to preserve the life of the character. For those that it's all about win, 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 win. But what is a sacrifice? Because things have no value, no intrinsic value. It is the sacrifices that allow you to move further away from the boundaries of what you call your reality. And it's just a sacrifice for you because nothing has real value apart from that which you are giving to it. Appearances, appearances, appearances. How will I see that? How will I be able to see that it is appearances only? By countering all laws of nature, all forces of nature. That gives you that feedback of reality. A body, an environment, the needs. You have desires, which are more or less about improvement, not improvement, prosperity of the character. And you have the apparent needs, which talk about survival of the character. Appearances, appearances, appearances. They continue endlessly until you start questioning them. Oh, I have to do this. Do I? Let me see what happens if I don't. But again, if you're still so in love by the story of that character, by its future, by its destiny, you will not be able to really question it. It will appear that you are questioning. It will appear a lot of things. It doesn't matter which appearances are. If they are appearances in a worldly context, or if they are appearances in a spiritual context. If it is about spiritual experiences, they give you just a feedback that you are going into the right direction. Mind creates that which is needed. So to know that which is really important to you is a must. And this requires a lot of observation, of questioning the motivations behind the actions. But it's imperative that you understand clearly what your motivations are. And for this, you must be, again, free from these self-deception games that are there just to perpetuate the character story. Like I said, it takes a lot of observation because that which appears to be, it isn't usually. And when you get to know that which is really important for the character's sake, for the character's future, what he envisions, what he wants, then you can start removing yourself from the same investments. Because the pulling will come, you will observe it. Why? Oh, this is because there's this behind it, so cut it. Let it go. And this is 24/7 dedication. The level of observation required is very big. So there's this sentence that appearances are deceiving, but in fact they are deception. As you close your eyes for meditation, you're abstracting from all sense perceptions. You're closing your eyes, deviating your attention from the world, sitting still, refraining from activities, holding on to the technique, removing your attention to the thought patterns, desires, any manifestation that is arising in your intimate space of perception. So the message is clear. Remove your attention from what you call your life. Learn to stay in the silence. Stop and remain here. Okay. So that's it for today. Next Wednesday, Same time, 9 o'clock in the morning, Brazilian time, UTC -3. Whenever you have questions about this subject or others, you can send your questions. I will answer in the next satsang. Okay, gotcha.